6, the Tyler Technologies for the ancillary JP software and professional services to bring all justice fees into the existing integrated justice system.
Judge, I think, JD, did you want to step in and make a recommendation here?
It's my understanding, Judge, we're deferring that because there's an item on there in executive session.
And recently, gentlemen, circulated a letter, or at least it had your names on it, that went around all departments that you were highly encouraging, if not demanding, that all department heads and elected officials operate their offices as frugally and efficiently as possible. Would y'all agree with that? I'll take that as a yes. For the last 10 years, that's what I've done over there in Precinct 4, as well as other JPs, to try to operate our offices as frugally and efficiently as possible. And we were here today to discuss about a collections contract that was voted on by you gentlemen and accepted. We approved it. It went before. Let me back up. In sometime last year, we were encouraged, since there were a lot of problems and still we went to Mark Baldwin's office, purchasing department, and I believe there were 7 people that responded. The JPs, like GHS Collections, they're the #1 collection agency in the state for JPs. Purchasing department approved it, recommended it to you. You guys voted on that as well. And also, along with the collections contract that you voted on to approve, and we did as well, we get the software that we need to run our offices with. We believe is top of the line, and we're getting that for 0 cost. The software that we're getting and the collections program we're getting for free, there's no risk to Montgomery County, 0 cost. Dallas County paid $1.2 million for that. And I hope you gentlemen will consider that today in your discussions. What is on the table here? I'm going to have a difficult time explaining to the people in Precinct 4 when we had a very good program here for $0 and 0 risk to the county to get our collections in line. They provide the reports that we need to be in compliance with the Office of Court Administration, versus going and spending possibly up to $1 million if we don't go with them. I can't figure out why you can get something for free, why you want to go spend $1 million somewhere else. Maybe someone can explain that to me. And they offer the solutions that we need. As far as I know, nobody on the court has ever been a justice of the peace. It's a difficult and demanding job, as I'm sure that yours is as well. I don't think anybody in this building, maybe with the exception of J.R. Moore here that has been a justice of peace, understands just what it is that we do and the challenge that we face. We know better than anybody what we need to run our offices as frugally and efficiently as possible. And we would request any help that you may give us to do that. That's it.
You know, Judge, we've been talking about this since 2010, and as you know, this court has done everything we can to help your department in any way we can, within reason. What we need is an integrated justice system that we're paying big dollars for.
Yes, you are.
And that includes all the courts, law enforcement, all the district judges, the county court judges, the JP courts, everything down to patrol cars. And Tyler is the only system that really meets those goals.
How do you know that, Judge? That's wrong. Your information is wrong, sir. The reason I know that, I spent $5,000 to find that out. At the time, you were misled, sir. At the time that was brought about, there were 3 people in the state of Texas that could do that, and a multitude of people nationwide. You have to understand that there's 254 counties in Texas with all the courts and all the municipalities in here, plus all the other offices. Now multiply that times 50 states, and you're going to expect me to believe that Tyler Technology is the only one that provides software solutions to all those people? I don't buy it.
It's the best one that Marshall Shirley could find for the price.
Yeah, there you go.
And we trust Marshall. I think this entire court does.
I'm glad that you do, because I do not.
And what do you base this on? I'm not gonna let you stand up here and disparage Marshall Shirley. If you got facts, spit them out. If not, sit down.
I don't have any facts. I've already laid them out. I sent a letter out. You're new to the court, Mr. No, actually, you're not going to be familiar with the letter that I sent out last year to everybody laying these facts out of the problems that they had, the lawsuits that they're in nationwide with others. And by using Tyler Technology will catapult the JP offices into the Stone Age, and I won't stand by and let them do that either, sir. You ever been to JP? No, you haven't, sir. I'd hope that you would.
Doesn't mean that I'm not capable of making decisions. There's a lot of things I haven't done, and I can decide on what's going to work. We've got people in this county that are prepared to help us make decisions. There's no doubt we need an integrated justice system, and everybody needs to be part of it. And I haven't seen anything that's come from your desk that has proven to me that Tyler Technologies is not going to work for you or the rest of the JPs.
Well, you're not looking very closely. I've laid it out for you, and we'll continue to lay it out.
Ms. Conley?
It won't work for us. Now, you can hear from someone else, that's fine. But it will not work for us, and I will not support it, nor will 1, 2, and 5 support it.
Judge Conley.
For all my collections, because you have to have a history there when you start from the beginning.
If I could, Judge and Commissioners, if you let me address you, I need to speak for myself instead of you trying to speak for me or others to try to speak for me. This court tasked me and the committee to bring to this county an integrated justice system. It's a long process that we've gone through. There were 2 ways to start this process. One was to directly go to an RFP. One was to look at what the other counties in Texas had already done. I and this committee discussed that at length, and we made a determination as a group to bring Tyler into the county and look at a demonstration of that product. We did that. At that time, Judge Trey Spikes told me that there had been counties that had issues for JP courts with Tyler Technologies. And I said, that's fine, I want to hear that. And I said, let's go address that with Tyler while they're here. And we discussed that with Tyler. And yes, there had been issues with counties with Tyler's early implementations. Judge Spikes also told me he was having that data come to make a presentation to them. We're talking 2.5 years ago. And he wanted me to attend. I attended that presentation and went through it with him. At the end of that process of looking at Tyler's demonstration, and after having attended that data demonstration to the JPs, our committee discussed, what is our next step? Did anything Tyler show you as a group convince you that that was the best solution for you and for our county? And we made a determination at that point in time that it wasn't compelling, that they were absolutely a slam dunk situation, that we should just move into contract negotiations with Tyler. So subsequent to that, we prepared, and if I could do it over again, I would do it differently, and that I would have issued an RFP at this time. We did not know what the market conditions were for integrated justice across the nation, across the state. We issued an RFI through purchasing to do that, request for information to see what the market looked like, and to provide budgetary information for an integrated solution. We didn't currently have a budget. We didn't know what it was going to cost. Numbers had been thrown around for years here. We conducted that RFI and got the results back. Those documents were made available to all the committee members. We prepared a summary of those documents, and we looked at that, and truly, of those that responded, Tyler was the only vendor that responded with an integrated system. There was another vendor named Amcab that responded with what they, at that point, called an integrated system, but was incomplete. They had modules that weren't complete. They did not have a reference site for an integrated system. Tyler at that time had several counties. I put together a budget for you and presented to you of $6.9 million. That $6.9 million was based upon some base Tyler products and then some products that we didn't know whether they'd be Tyler or not because we didn't yet have made a selection, but we needed a budget. The DA's office, law enforcement, and the JP, they continued to look at net data as an alternative solution. In our subsequent conversations, Judge, that you took place in, and I tried to keep all of you abreast of what was going on. I was the chair of the committee. I'm the one that actually visited with all the elected officials that were affected and tried to move them to an integrated system. It's been said that I tried to bully them into it. What I tried to impress upon all of them is that your expectation was for an integrated system. I've discussed with you in this group different models for building an integrated system, and I will honestly and sincerely tell you I do not believe building it is the proper way to go. I think that is substantiated by the 30-something other counties in Texas that have chosen Tyler as their integrated justice solution. I have told you repeatedly I do not have issues with net data. I think their software for what they do and for what it does for JPs is good software. The software issue and delinquent collections issue are two separate issues. And I understand they're being bundled together. And if you choose that, then there are some issues for you that you need to address. If you were to let them go to net data, there are software issues, contract issues that need to be dealt with. And I'm sure that net data would deal with those for you if you decide to do that. Integrated justice, if you want to build the model of integrated justice that the other counties in Texas are building, and what I think should be built, you start at the database level and you build it out. The only question has ever been, and what I've told the JPs when I visited with them, the issue that they will face, and what I try to get them to clearly see and join the project, is that our DA, our county attorney, our county clerk, our district courts and county courts, we're going to choose the premier product in the nation for courts. Deal with the underlying software and the conditions that are not adequately addressed in the contract if you were to give them all of the JP data to protect the JPs and the county. I don't know, I certainly have a list of items that need to be addressed if you were to do that.
But just giving them the collection data and let them collect delinquent debt.
If what they had asked me for was delinquent collection data, the day after they signed that contract, they would have had that data within weeks.
Not a problem.
Would have been no issue whatsoever.
Okay.
But what has been requested of me to date, and is still being requested of me, that I think only you can decide for me, is to give them all of their data. I currently do not believe that the contract actually spells that out and calls for that, nor do I think you as a court understood what was underneath that contract.
Let me ask you this. If we say we cancel that contract,
Yes, sir.
we go out for collection agencies to collect delinquent debt for justice and peace officers.
Yes, sir.
Would they want all of the JP data?
Well, I think, what you sent out was a delinquent collections RFP, not a software RFP. what has been provided to you is a bundle of collection services with, quote, free software.
I understand that.
Now,
I'm just saying,
and
if we just did collection
If you
only.
did a collections only RFP, then no, you should not bundle that together. And I want to set something straight you might have said earlier too. Whether Net Data and Tyler interface or with collections, I don't think is an issue. I think if you wanted them to, that they would, both parties. It's a matter of exchanging a subset of data for collections purposes. And you asked a question about building the integration. Let me address that too. There are middleware products out there. And if you look at state level implementations where you have monolithic type agencies that have invested in significant dollars and have software in place in multiple places, it's very difficult to move those agencies to an integrated system. Much more difficult than our project, as difficult as it has been. I think we are in control of the solution set that we provide to Montgomery County, and it to me is it's a much more complicated picture to try to build it and maintain it, even if there are third parties out there. And I do not see that model in Texas, and I do not see that model at the county level across the nation as a whole. So.
Okay, Mayor, did you want to make a comment?
To have to go a certain way because it's integrated. When we, for 2 years now, have been saying it's cumbersome, it's hard on us, it's going to require more staff, there's a lot of issues there, and you're willing to say you're going to go with it anyway.
I think what it is it's just going to be different. It's going to be a change, and you may not like all changes that come through the county, but we cannot operate like we're in the Stone Age any longer.
Agreed.
We have to be able to communicate department by department, from the jail to the JPs to adult probation to juvenile probation, and for you to stand here and you have not given us any solid facts on what you don't like about this system. What does it not do that you need to have done?
Let's use one example. How about nearly 5 minutes to enter a citation that we enter thousands of them a month? 5 minutes on Tyler Technologies done by someone that his staff saw. 30 to 45 seconds on the system we work with now. That's not efficient to be 5 minutes to enter one thing.
Marshall,
There's
you have
an
anything
issue.
to say on that?
I'm assuming we're referring to a visit to New Waverly, JP office. I can tell you New Waverly's model, they bought a software as a service model from Tyler. Their servers are in Plano, Texas. I do not know the statistics on the bandwidth at that court. I suspect that it is certainly not what we have to our court processes. I can tell you now that I do not believe that the JP offices today that are using Tyler would put up with a 5-minute per entry process. Now,
It's disappointing that the county as a whole doesn't have an opportunity to use a free program to benefit not only the Commissioners Court, but to benefit the elected officials as well. And the vote's been made, so I guess my comment would be it's just disappointing. Because the opportunity for something to benefit you tremendously has been negated.
Well, it would not necessarily benefit us totally because it's not part of the integrated justice system.
And what harm would it have done being free to the county to have stayed on that program until we were ready to quote unquote integrate?
We will get with Mark Turnbull. Mark Turnbull would like to use them as a supplement to his collection services. I think this court would be more than happy to do that.
All right, Judge, thank you.
RFP that they put out and made the selection from. We had put one out probably 6 to 8 months, or maybe even a year prior to that. One of the first things I did when I got into that office, or in that position of oversight for the collections group. Not because I had any feeling about it really one way or the other, but simply wanted to have the information available so when we got to a point where we were prepared to make a decision along those lines, that we would have information available to us. They rejected that RFP at one point and reissued it. The reason it got to that point is I felt like when we were first entering into it, that we were looking at something that could be used for the county level, the district level, and the JP level combined potentially. As it turned out, we began to talk to the various court levels. The district court and the county courts were not interested in anyone doing third-party delinquent collections for them, so I isolated it to the JP group as the only one that was of any interest.
Are the county and district courts doing their own delinquent collection?
The collections group is doing that for them currently.
Your office?
Yes. So we were prepared to look at it and investigate it a long time ago, and then it was re-looked at. The proposal was reissued, and we got, like I say, some additional responses. And some people didn't respond the second time they did the first time, and some responded the second time they didn't participate the first time. There's certainly value to it, I guess, to that point. It's just a matter of comfort level of the offices that be performing that service. Are they going to do it correctly? Are they going to do it well? Are they going to be courteous and kind and all the things that protect the office holder's image? Some people feel that the percentage that the third-party delinquent tax on in addition to that 30% fee is a little bit excessive, and that's something each will have to decide whether they think that's appropriate to negotiate for something that's better, perhaps more reasonable. So there's benefit to it. It's just a matter of approach, realistically. It makes no difference to us. Like I say, we've considered from the very beginning prior to these things coming along that we probably might have value in there. We're not, I understand this. I don't know, the 10, 12 largest counties, let's see, Chicago would not be one, but Collin County, Brazoria County is one we use oftentimes, Williamson County, a lot of collections groups will be district only, there'll be another group for county only, and then some combination of JPs as a group, or the JPs each having their own collection group. If they want to go do their own thing, then that's fine. It actually, in some respects, make our lives a little bit easier than trying to deal with people that are located simply at the courthouse, but with the collections group anyway. The models exist in all different kinds of ways, and so it's not a matter of us trying to cling onto it or hang on to it, other than just trying to have, present you guys with the information so that you can see what is the best decision for them.
Judge, if I may. Guys, part of the collections issue is they do a good job at the upper levels because they're collecting larger sums of money. And then we're dumping all of this data onto them for $100, $105, whatever the case it may be. And it's taking a lot of time and a lot of effort out of their department to try to collect for us. So in turn, when the RFP went out, what came about of this is if we go with a outside collector, I have to have staff in my office basically bundle that stuff together and send it to them. Okay? They have to physically do that to get it to them. The company that you approved back in January, because of the software, they call in every night to our system and they pull that stuff out automatically. So it puts 2 people at least in my office. And you'll all know I have a very small office. I have 4.5 staff. But it puts 2 people in my office able to do something else that they need to be doing than working on this data batch to send to another collector. But it promotes better business for them not to have to mess with the JPs. Would you agree or disagree with that? With the amount of numbers and the amount of money?
I don't know. I'd have to think about it in terms of
So
what you just
that's
said.
that's what we were looking at when this collections thing came out. Is we've got a very good vendor that collects a lot of money for a lot of counties, and we were fortunate enough that it comes along with technology that allows my staff to do their day-to-day stuff and not have to be bundling to get it sent to one of these other firms. That's ultimately where we sit. And then on top of it being free. And the percentage that Mark brought up, the percentage is statutory. That's written in statute, that they can charge up to 30% on delinquent. And that's
Was it up to?
up to 30%.
So you could actually negotiate or something.
I would assume, but I don't know, I've never been into that conversation.
Okay.
So that's our concern is, you know,
I don't see why we couldn't, collecting the delinquent back, the fine and stuff about.
but let me add one thing to that, Commissioner. The reason that my request today was for all of the data, okay? There's an underlying issue here, which is the Office of Court Administration, okay? We are reporting to them, or supposed to be reporting to them as of now. I have 0 reports into the Office of Court Administration. The only 2 courts that are reporting to them, Precinct 4, JP, and 410th District Court. If they audit Montgomery County, and we are not in compliance with the Office of Court Administration, they will levy all of the money that we collect on our fines, and they're going to keep it until we get in compliance.
Marshall, we talked about this.
You're looking at me, but collections is the one who's responsible for that, and Mark can answer.
Mark, I mean, I'm under the impression we're in good shape on this issue.
We collected between 71.9% in precinct 4